them is non-disclosure. There's some restrictions that are there with employees and employers, that you are not going to disclose the information that you've gotten, what else you're working with the employer. Then there's non-solicitation. Now, this is the one which is actually very critical to do with the business. Most of the companies have disallowed employees to seek businesses with the same employer. It's arising from that restriction, non-solicitation. You shall not ask for a business from your employer. So imagine you yourself, you started a side business tomorrow, and you feel you've got potential clients here. You come through and say, oh, I am able to sell this, I can do A, B, C, D. Or you even approach your boss, sir, I was thinking we can do business. You know, this is what is there.
It's business.
Yes, it's business. But so we need to look out now in our contracts. In some institutions, actually it has worked out to motivate employees. I know of companies who are encouraging their employees to engage into business, provided does not conflict with what a company does, and they even support, they go on, we can buy your products. It's a motivation. That is fine. That is okay. You just need to move in. Okay, this is what is there. Then we also have got restrictions which does not allow employees to solicit for employees to be, employees of your current company to be recruited by another, be it that you are an employee or a former employee. So today I'm working with my employers. In some institutions, there are restrictions which indicate that even if it says aside, I will be paid for the service I would render to a recruitment firm, I cannot go to my fellow workmate that, no, actually I can make money on you. It's a side hustle, by the way. So I've been retained to start finding employees for this company. Some of those are actually restricted. Those are some of the restrictions that you have, which we need to look out as we want to engage into businesses. And then we come up with ideas. You can invent something when you are still working with another institution. There's a restriction that whatever you generate what else you are working, all the ideas that we generate, what else we are in employment, they belong to our employers because we are doing them during the working hours. So there's a restriction that I cannot even start selling my ideas, what else I'm working with my employers. No, I've come up with this formula and everything. So these restrictions, ideally, what they are trying to put across is trying to find ways of enforcing those obligations that Mr. Kabanda mentioned, and that it's also anticipated that employees, when they are working in good faith with their employers. So the basic line is that whatever business you want to deal in with should ensure that that business does not stand on the way of your employer. That's the basic line on the restrictions. Should you find out within your own judgment that this actually the employer might not even permit it, they can't allow, just not, you don't need to do that business. You are here, for instance, where we are working here, and then we just hear that you've started having a side hustle of selling second-hand cameras. And then tomorrow we hear that cameras are missing here. Don't we think we start suspecting that you are moving out doing that? And I think those are some of the issues that has affected even our colleagues under, I think, certain professions like health, where maybe you're in charge of medicines, and then tomorrow you open up a pharmacy or chemist. Then in the minds of people, they'll be thinking maybe you are transferring the items from the office. Similarly, even today, I was working with Mr. Kabanda, he's my boss, and he leaves me in charge of stationery. Then tomorrow I open a stationery shop.
Yeah.
Already you are seeing the business I want to get into. Actually, there's already a natural restriction. So before we move on to those restrictions, let's also do our basic assessment. We look at what is happening. Now, these restrictions, a number of them, we may not even find them in the contracts of employment because they're imposed on us by the common law standards. It is anticipated that as you join, you know that this I don't need. You don't need to start competing with your employer. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another thing which is interesting, you can be upset with your employer and everything. Did you know that you've got a restriction that you can't say negative things about your employer? Mm-hmm. Non-disparaging disclosures, agreements that are there. You can't go and start saying negative things about your employer when tomorrow you'll be knocking that you've come back for employment. Those are some of the restrictions that you still have. Now, there are some restrictions, interestingly, that you are not permitted to engage into certain activities, even after you've actually stopped working for a particular employer. Some of those actually relate to engagements, that you can't join maybe a competing firm. They might even set up the geographical area. You can't start operating a business within this area. It depends on the products that you are dealing in, the products that the employer is dealing in, and the relationship between the product that you have and the product that the employer has. It could be the services. You can't start getting your customers because I was in marketing and now I've just started to come up with a marketing firm, or I've started selling these products that my employer is selling. You can't start now inviting or enticing your former clients that, no, I had gotten you there, can we move together and we get that side. Some of the institutions do not actually permit those things and they are not accepted. So as we want to do a business that is accepted, let us appreciate, so that we shouldn't say we are being stopped from doing business, but we should do the business within the confines of the acceptable standards.
Well explained. Mr. Kabanda, coming to you, after learning about all the restrictions, what are some of the businesses that you would advise employees to start with? Because I believe they're now asking themselves some questions. What type of a business would I do in order for me not to find myself fighting with my boss and whatnot? What type of businesses would you advise them?
Well, the thing is, I think with what has been explained, the key issue really, even before you think of what type of business is, once you have understood those provisions, and again we have to emphasize this part, because before you get excited with starting a business, you should know that there's a contract you signed this side, and with the employer they are demanding only two things. As you have heard, they are demanding, one is your performance and your behavior. Performance in this case means that as an employee, and remember these two things are also in the employment code, and they form a basis for termination of the contract or dismissal or summary dismissal. And so it needs to be very clear that your performance standard should not even be compromised by any fancy business idea you want to come up with. So if they have been giving you work that you need to finish at a particular time, or you have key performance indicators or targets that you have to work towards, you need to make sure that you are in a frame of mind, you look at your time and all other commitments, that you are not going to drop that performance standard. Because the moment that performance standard starts to go down in terms of your output, you are putting your job on the line. When your job gets to be finished, you are fired. You may find that you are getting a 10,000 this side. The business that you are fantasizing about is only giving you a 500 or a 1,500 profit. Your lifestyle, where you are renting or where you are staying, you are spending 10,000, and you get to lose a job over 500. So this part we need to emphasize, that even before we talk about aspects of which business to go into, it is important that employees take time to think everything through. What are my current performance standard or performance expectations? Second is the behavioral side. What are the behaviors? You had when I stand talking about the aspects of all these commitments, the restrictions that come. They form part of the behaviors that are expected from the employee. So if the employer expects you not to be at work at a particular time, the employer expects you not to be in competition with them, and you start doing that which they told you not to do, you will be fired. Unfortunately, these are the realities. We have to talk as it is, because sometimes people like to just hear nice stories. The fact of the matter is that when the employer finds that your behavior is contrary to what they expect from you, you will be taken through the whole process. What this means that in terms of your behavior, you need to make sure that even before you start thinking about starting that business, first of all, what are the standards? He was explaining everything in terms of the restriction and what is required. Sit down and look through your contract. Sit down and look at the policies of the company. What time am I required to report for work? What time am I required to knock off? what are the standards in terms of behaviors in this company? Okay, there are certain things which are written, other things are not written. So also understand the culture of the company. There are companies where they don't care whether you come with your car and you put in the car park, you open the boot and you start selling your chickens or the clothes. They have that culture, they don't care. Understand the culture. In other companies, just you being seen carrying something that you are selling even at your workplace, you'll be fired for it because they have an image that they believe they should keep. So understanding the behavioral standards of the company, what will be expected of you, what time, as we've talked about, what time is your working times, your standards for performance. So all those things, put them in context, because the moment you forget about these things, you are then putting yourself in the firing range. At the same time, like he has talked about the contract and also the restrictions, those papers, and we have to now emphasize, at the beginning of employment, there are papers that companies will give you. Most of the times, we know this, it's a fact. A lot of times, people are all interested in seeing salary. Okay, so the moment they give you the contract, yeah, which page is the salary? Ah, okay, 5,000. Ah, okay, 50,000. Good, this is good. Then, do we have gratuity? You check for, in contracts, people check salary, gratuity, leave days. Ah, we are done. They can add even an extra, which is medical.
Yes.
The rest, they don't look at anything. Now, in that contract, also at the same time, the HR will give you all sorts of forms. They are called engagement forms. This is where you are finding some of these things that he was talking about. Some of them, you find them in the contract. Some contracts will say you are required to make all the necessary declarations and commitments. And they are giving you a form which says you can't compete. Just sign it. Just sign. You don't read anything. I mean, you have suffered enough. Now I have a job. So now, these are the things we are saying. If you really want to start a job, go back. If you don't have those copies, go to your HR. Of course, that is company property. The moment you sign your contract, or even when you submit a CV to the company, that now remains company property at that point. But you can talk to them. If you have no copies of your engagement forms, go to HR. Okay, can I look at all my commitments? What are the restrictions? And ideally, HR will be telling employees about these things. But if they have not told you, walk over to them. Have a candid conversation so that you know what it is that you are able to do and that which you are not able to do within that company. Okay, that is extremely important, because once you miss this foundation, you will be doing something, and at the end of the day, that which you start doing ends up putting you in harm's way. You will be fired nicely. Believe you me, I know when we are having these talks with employees, no, I mean, I can sue. Yes, you will sue. But the employers are also waking up now. They will take you through the process nicely. They will charge you. They will go for a hearing. They will find you guilty. The whole process, they have fulfilled the requirement for being given an opportunity to be heard. So don't start pushing the employers to limits. While we want to make more money, which is important, let's make money in a manner that will not jeopardize the current job. Now, it's important to also emphasize that, yes, don't just sit there. If there are opportunities for you to do these side businesses or the side hustles as they are called, it is a great opportunity. You have to embrace it. Just make sure you have taken care of these foundational things around your contractual obligations, so that when you are starting those businesses, you even have a free mind. The other thing we have to emphasize is the aspect of whatever business you are now thinking of starting, don't write or don't use the name of your employer. Now, let's explain this part. There are people, yes, you can be doing orders. You're ordering, I don't know, maybe spare parts or clothes, whatever. Or it could be a professional job. So you find where you're working, you go somewhere to pitch your business, and you keep on saying, I'm from such and such
institution.
That's where I'm coming from.
No!
I'm from KBN.
No. You can only introduce yourself as such if you are on the business of the employer. And this is the part, we see the people doing this a lot of times. Be it in talks, in workshops, or they are supplying things. You want to write and use the name of your employer. Yes, the people might want to do business with you because of the name of your employer. But remember,
that's the aspect of me telling them that I'm from KBNT.
No,
want to do business
because you are now misrepresenting your employer. And there are restrictions. So did the employer actually send you to do that kind of a business? Maybe so the employer, for instance, is in this is in television and other media business. You are selling shoes. Why do you keep on saying I'm from KBN? What does the KBN have to do with high youth? And we see this even in workshops for introductions. We really should emphasize, because the reason for this is that if you do anything out there and that which you have done brings embarrassment to yourself, it has the potential to bring embarrassment to your employer, because they'll be saying that person came from that company. So if you are going to start doing business, these are things we are emphasizing, that you find a way to clearly separate yourself in a clear manner from the employer. If you have to register the business that you're going to have on the side, register it and let it run on the side separately. If you are going to stand and, pitch some idea somewhere, be very clear of who is talking at that point. Because if you are combining these two things, as any time that you're going to do or say something that relates to the employer, you should get appropriate clearance. Because when you speak anything that will be connected to the employer should authorize. And in many companies, you have the PR departments. So the PR departments, for instance, they speak on behalf of the employer, or even the managers or whatever it is, they can speak about the company, but they are authorized to do so. So these are just some things that we should emphasize even before we talk about all the different types of businesses one can do. You need to get these things very clear. You're going to set up a mobile money booth somewhere. Be very clear that is not KBN extension. Yes. KBN and mobile money. No. So be very clear about those things. Yeah.
Well explained. If you've just joined us, just watching Labour Matters on KBN TV, if you have any questions, comments or contributions, please do use the number which is right on your TV screen. Today we are looking at an interesting topic, which is side businesses for employees. Are you doing any side business? How has it been so far? Please, we want to hear that. Do send us text messages and we'll read them right here. Maybe you can talk about some of the side businesses which employees can work on.
Okay, thank you so much. He's explained the background, but this is an interesting topic where you find that more of background is necessary than actually identifying the business. But now my background will be moving closer to identifying the business. You need to identify a business which you believe is going to succeed. Once you've satisfied all the requirements to do with assessing that you are within the company policies, you've declared this is what I want to do, I want to do business, can you ascertain that this is a business that is going to be successive? Now, this is what you need. You don't just need to do business. We're not encouraging people to just move into side businesses, provided I'm just doing business. No, we want you.
The thing is that what they want is money. As long as I start this business and it's giving me money.
Yes, so we want the business to give you the money to the point, because some people have moved into businesses and work has been affected like way it's indicated. You do a business and you fail to fund it. So one, let's go back to our interests. That's a basic. We're not looking at big businesses where you are going to invest and doing everything. Even starting up with a smaller capital. Let's go back and identify our interests. We should be able to know ourselves. Assess yourself. What is my interest? My interest is catering. Do I have the capacity? Your interest should be backed by your capacity. If you don't have the capacity, that's when you've seen other people now working with others. Let's work as a team. I have the idea on how we can run this business. I do not have the capacity to run it. Who else can I be with? Do we have the monies? If If you don't have the monies, you don't have the money as an individual, that's when people decide, where are we going to get the monies? We're going to get the monies, is it a cooperative? Right now we are hearing of loans that are coming through under CDF, other agencies that are allowing members of the public to access the monies. Once you've done that, you consolidate your ideas that this is a business that I want to do. You do the background to do with the papers, the names and everything. Like he mentioned again, we're not going to have KBN extension mobile and everything when you've decided because you are from here, that's not allowed. So even the names, you do your name search, you need to get some guidance on how you do things with background. Now let's drill down to the interest that you have. If you have interest in catering, you may not have the interest or you may not have the capacity to start a business of catering where you are outside, you have services that you are actually offering to the bigger institution. Catering, it could be starting from a smaller level. You can start baking and you check on the market. They are very bit of a market. You can be doing scones as a side business. The money that you realize even from baking scones, it's a lot of money. These days people are celebrating birthdays. You can decide, okay, I've got an interest in baking. Let me start a side business. And there are some institutions under their wellness policies. They celebrate employees' birthdays. What would be wrong with you declaring your business so that you know that it's within the policies? And after declaring a business, tell them, I'm declaring also interest that I want to be supplying you the cakes when you have birthday celebrations. It's one business that we can do. Some people maybe who are like me have got interest in farming. Farming has got a wide range of activities. Which kind of farming? Where do I have interest and where do I have the capacity? Do I have the interest in cattle farming? Is it goat farming? Do I need to have a piggery? Do I have the land? If I don't have the land, these days you can also partner with somebody. There are people who've got land and they can't make use of it. There are people who've got interest in crop farming. You don't have the land. We have people who can even rent land these days. There are people who've got farms. We can do that. Some people can do gardens. These days we want to have gardens, you know, where will I do the gardens? You can have a garden just at the backyard. You just need to now identify what are the modern ways of utilizing the smallest piece of land that you have. Now, what do you do when you have identified your interests? Engage the people that have been there also into the businesses. That's another thing that we need to do. So if today I decided that I'm moving into gardening and I want to do cabbages, I need to engage the people that are doing cabbages or somebody who stopped doing cabbages. Why is the person no longer doing cabbages? I want to do onions. What is the motivation to do onions? Now, when we are doing business, one of the things that we need to avoid, and that's why this topic is coming through, and I'm very happy that Mr. Kabanda thought of bringing this topic. It doesn't just benefit maybe the people we're talking to. Even some of people like me, I'm benefiting. When you analyze the businesses that we have out there, we get into business through different ideas, the different modes. Some people will say they have been pushed to do business. Others have been pulled. This idea of discussing side business right now, we want to pull people to start doing business. People who are pulled into businesses have got the chances of succeeding better than the people who, through the circumstances, because I've lost a job, you are pushed to start doing a business. You won't do all these reviews. And then it's better to try out these smaller businesses when we are still in employment. So that by the time we move maybe into retirement or decided to just resign and okay, I want to do this business, we could have actually gotten the ideas. So we've got a lot of businesses that are connected to our interest. Others are selling flowers. These days you've seen there were issues. You can have a smaller garden where you just plant rose flowers. Every weekend people be coming to buy. There are people who are good with the tendering plants. You can select from the forest. You can just pick some plants and you tender them and they are selling along the streets. People are buying. There are a lot of ideas. So we have actually a lot of ideas. Clothing. Some institutions, if you declare that you are selling clothes and you've got a number of workmates, it's a business that you can engage into. And then we've got business that do not even require you to physically move around. You're just there. You know, telecommunications actually is through ICT modes. You can sit here through the media. You do certain things. You can offer a lot of things. There are people who are also good with teaching. Maybe I should encourage Mr. Kabanda that, you know, another side that's what he can do is he can approach one university, you know, I want to do this, provided his employer also It's okay with that.
Make a declaration.
Yes, makes a declaration that no, I can do teaching. It's one of the things that we do. We may have brilliant ideas, but when you say, can I move into this actual business, I may not manage. But even speaking to just a smaller group can be making money. Consultants is one of the things that is also happening. In whichever field right now, we've got young people who want to learn. We've got people who don't want to research. You can research, keep the information, let people come through. So develop your interest. For me, that's a basic line. When you're identifying the kind of business, try to develop your interest, then check on the capacity. If you don't have the capacity, look at how you can actualize that.
Amazing.
Then it makes everything simple.
Well explained.
Yes.
Mr. Kabanda, coming to you after identifying what type of a business I want to do. Now, how can an employee get to manage a side business effectively, knowing that I have a full-time job, I work 6 to 6? How can I manage effectively to run my side business?
Yeah, it's not an easy thing. It is totally a difficult thing. But one thing that is very critical, you heard what he was talking about. What are your interests? Once you have identified your interests, like you were explaining, it becomes easy for you to say, okay, where do my interests lie? Okay. Then the other thing to ask yourself now is, what are your commitments with the job that you have? Then apart from the commitments, you now ask yourself even, what time do I have? Because the kind of business that you have chosen to do will have to be aligned to your interests, the commitments, and the time that you're going to have. Because remember, the businesses, because you are not going to be there every time, you need to make sure that there are things that you can really do, and when you are not around, things can still move. Now, that also goes to what kind of systems and processes you are going to put in place. Now let's just move back and look at what Konastan was talking about. All those businesses ideas, really they help you to start a business. So you have to think through, am I going to be doing this business at a personal level, just myself? Like he was explaining, there are people who do scones and they supply in the morning to fellow employees or wherever. But then as you do that, you reach a level where you might want to work with an additional person or 2 other people, because maybe now there are more demands, more people asking for these things. So you find that time you have in the night when you knock off and then you start baking, maybe now you need someone who can actually be delivering. Now these days there's also these vehicles and the motorcycles and whatever who deliver on your behalf. So you can look at, is this a business you're going to do alone, or you will require to engage also other people? Like the farming I was mentioning, it's a great business, and a lot of people are doing that. A lot of employees are actually into that. So you need to now look at, in my absence, remember now we are talking about time commitments and the systems that you should put in place. In my absence, who is going to be looking after this? And this is where now we are talking about you making sure that you have some systems that allow you to receive reports. You have some systems that allow you to check on what is really happening in your business. If it's at a farm and you know that you go to work from morning and you're knocking off in the night, probably you're going to the farm only on a Saturday or a Sunday. There are those colleagues, let's say, who work in the mines. Some, they are already working in the place where they can't even come out. They're in the camp. So that business which they have chosen, it has to be a business that still they can still monitor in a way. And because businesses that you don't monitor, employees also become very clever about a lot of things. You find you have sent fertilizer 5 bags, they only apply 2 bags. 3 bags also grow legs. They are also making business on your business. So it's important that you really look at that kind of the kind of business you're going to do, and then if you want it to succeed, you now have to now sit down and ask yourself those very serious questions. This business I'm choosing to go into, how would I actually monitor the business? Apart from the monitoring aspect, you also ask yourself, with the time that you have on your hands, how are you going to do this business? For instance, you was mentioning consultants. If you are working this side, are you going to only provide consultants over the weekend, if that is the only free time you have, or you have registered your business, you have formalized, and you can bring on board other consultants to actually work with you, and you are now only doing checking in the background in the night and so on. So it's about looking at now your time and your current commitments with your employer and asking yourself, are you going to work with other people to deliver this? Even if it was baking that we're talking about, even if it is preparing, we have employees, for instance, who have set up some businesses where they are preparing even lunch. Definitely you are in the office. So that the other people are working in your restaurant, and you need to deliver the food to the employees. They are those who put in the cars. Yes. It means you were not there when they were preparing the food. So how do you ensure the quality of that food? It will reach, it is warm and things of that nature. So, and this is where those competing issues we are talking about sometimes on time coming, because you'll be there at the office and now you need, oh no, salt has finished. No, now we don't have cooking oil. And you find the person in the office, they are just 3 hours on the phone. No, go and see, order those things from this side. No, but that is company time. Mm-hmm. So you need to then make it very clear that if you are going to enter into a particular business, either it's a business you can do on your own, alone, but outside the hours of your employer, and you manage it. Yes. There are people that we've known, they don't scale their businesses up because they just want to deal with customers that they can manage within that period. Others, they go ahead and now, apart from working solo, they set up a business on the side. Mm-hmm. And then within that business, they even have managers in that business. Remember, it is not a crime. If you set up your business and you have made your declarations, there is management that is now overseeing this business of yours. Mm-hmm. And what you are now receiving are reports, and you can also go and check from time to time. The key issue is that you need to be in a space where you have created systems that allow you, even if it is at a farm, there has to be that farm manager who can tell you, okay, by the end of this month we need to do deworming, or we need these chemicals for animals, mm-hmm. and what you are providing is really the money. So that part of creating systems in your side business becomes extremely important, and you should have a way that you are able to receive reports and in a consistent manner, mm-hmm. just like those even big companies we operate, we are found in as employees. The bosses or the investors or the shareholders in these big businesses, they are not there every day, because we have seen also this issue where people say, no, you can't really do anything. No. How come we have businesses that are thriving where we are also working, mm-hmm. And people have just putting money in those businesses, but they are not there every day watching. There are mechanisms. You are going to have management, you can have the boards, but that is as the business is really growing. The key issue that we have to emphasize is have systems, and where you know you cannot manage, get consultants to help you set up things. They walk you through the processes, mm-hmm. your financial systems, how do you make sure that the money you are receiving, you are accounting for it, or it goes just to your pocket. So you have to have your books in order. The employees that are going to work on your business, you also start taking it serious, like the way you operate in your company. Mm-hmm. Do you make sure that they are getting paid? They are also having proper targets. So if they don't perform in a certain way, you let them go. Mm-hmm. So there are all these things that you have to look at, including the legal requirements in that business you are starting. Remember we said, if you're running a business and tomorrow you are found wanting, that could be linked now back to your employer, and the employer will not be happy, they will fire you. Mm-hmm. So make sure that also your legal requirements in your business, which is on the side, mm-hmm. the PACRA requirements, NAPSA, NIMA, ZRA, and all those other things, you start looking into those requirements. If you are into the business of restaurants, you have the certificates from the councils and so on and so on. So make sure that on the side you have systems and procedures that allow your business to function. We have to emphasize that having these things while you are still working, mm-hmm.
Like he did mention, it's better to start these things while you are working. You can pump in some money, because if it fails, you still have a salary.
People always wait. They always wait until that day when you get fired. That's the only time you can think of starting up a business.
No. It's better you start, because it allows you to start learning a lot of things.
remember, just once you start a business, you start learning what it means even to find a supplier for your things. You start learning even what it means to go and sell something. Because sometimes you have a product, but you don't even know how to sell.
Yeah.
You don't know how to actually make money. You can be in accounts. You have not understood the whole business operates. These things, and we tell people, no, because I was a manager, so please sit down. Business is complex. There is a financial aspect of it. Financial management, how are you getting the money? How are you keeping it? How are you spending it? How are you making sure your business is profitable? There is a human resource component of the business. How are you actually managing yourself? How are you managing the employees that are with you? What are you paying? There is all these complex issues. Thirdly, there is the operational management. How are you getting your inputs into the business? The things that you need to produce your goods or your services. And how consistent are you going to be? There's the marketing side. How are you going to find the customers out there to actually come and buy your business and pay? Not just express interest like we see with a lot of likes. There's a workshop, a lot of likes, and you think that is business. The business is the money that actually comes. Then we can say you have made business. There's a legal side of the business. So you are talking about your taxes, your PAC registrations, and all the compliances and regulations that you have to follow as provided for in your country of operation. So there are these 5 areas. Hence, even if you are an HR, you have not understood or you have not practiced, these are the 4 other. If you are a legal person, you have not done HR or finance and other things. You can be an accountant, you have not done the other parts. You can be ICT. So business is complex. And that's why when you are still working, if you can start learning those things, it helps you, you gain the knowledge, you gain the skills, and beyond that, you can come and run your businesses properly, even when you reach a point where you say, okay, now I need to go and fully concentrate on my business. So those are the things we thought we should bring to attention.
Amazing. Maybe if you can talk about some of the investment options which employees should generate passive income, maybe under a minute before we read 1 or 2 text messages from our viewers.
Okay, the common one that we have, you don't need to do so much. I think you can visit either your bank or visit BOZ. There are investments, I think, into the treasury bills, which are accessible. You can, there are different modes that you can actually access those. So I'll tell you that if for those who just want to have a way of doing and with a bit of less of risk, you can consult, and I can mention right now comfortably that BOZ actually offer engagements without actually charging. So even employers are encouraged. You can engage them, say, no, we want somebody to come and speak to our employees on how we can invest into this. And there are other institutions that have set up just to provide the same. We know, like even the banks themselves also, they've got units that are actually designated in order to help their clients in order to do those investments. So that's another method that we can do. Let's not go for these who say no 200% within 2 hours or
within
3 hours. No. Those are scams. Those are not the business we're talking about. We are in, 200 no. We are not interested in those. We are interested in where you can, the way you spoke about, something that is legal and something that you can follow through and check on what is happening. So those who don't want to move and start their own ideas, but they have the money, doesn't matter how much it is. I know this time even 50,000 kwacha you can invest, and there are other categories that are there. Visit your bank or visit BOZ. I think they are giving information on where we can actually put that money. And moreover, it's another pride that you have, especially when you engage in treasury bills. Whatever is happening, you'll be saying, okay, I've contributed to the development of this nation. So we'll be part of the people that are developing the country.
Amazing. Maybe you can read 1 or 2 text messages from our viewers. This is quite an interesting conversation. The first one reads, in a Nifuna Koche update, ya new minimum wage, yama general workers. Last year, December, we were told that in January 2023, there will be an increased minimum wage for general workers. January came, we were told it's August, but up to now, no sign. Kindly shed more light on this one.
This issue, every episode we have, it's the same issue. The issue is effecting the minimum wage will only be done through a statutory instrument issued by the Ministry of Labour. So yes, those pronouncements were made, and again, employees and employers are free to contact the Labour Office for guidance. However, yes, January came past, August came and passed. We are here where we are. The state instrument is yet to be issued. So we can only say people have to exercise patience. But again, that is an area for Labour Office. They can always contact the Labour Office directly.
Amazing. The second one reads, if you haven't signed a contract and you have worked for almost 4 years, what are some of the benefits for that worker? You haven't signed a contract and you have worked for a particular company for 4 years. What are some of the benefits?
Okay, it's not easy for us right now to say the exact benefits you get are these, because each type of a contract has got its own benefits. So the issue usually which happens is that at a time of separation, if there's a dispute, because now what is anticipated is that the employee will have his or her own assumption of what is happening, yet the employer is thinking of something else. Then if a dispute arose and then they proceeded, either maybe they went to court, what will need to be determined is which kind of a contract was this person working under. And depending on the determination which will be made, then the corresponding benefits are going to be awarded. If it's established that this person was on permanent and pensionable, then the benefits that are accrued to permanent and pensionable are going to be given. If it was determined that this should be construed as a fixed term contract, those are issues. That's when you hear issues of graduate coming through that. No, now this was a fixed term contract, and then did it qualify? It was a long term or it was a short term. Now, to also briefly break it down, as the period itself may not be sufficient for us to give actually a conclusive response. What has been happening in the 4 years? Somebody can be with a company for 4 years, yet these are not. It's not continuous. They've had other disruptions and certain activities have been performed. For instance, at the end of a year, you are given some graduate. Even if it's 4 years, it means the employer has been discharging its duties as they are moving. So we may also need to drill down and check what has been the conduct of the parties during these 4 years. Not just saying 4 years, it's not sufficient. So, like he's also indicated, where it's not clear and somebody is still in employment, we shouldn't wait for them to separate. I think this visit Labour Office, they would be able to actually interrogate the facts and be able to provide feedback.
Amazing. Before you give us your last remarks as we wrap up this conversation, maybe you can also talk about, last week we did talk about an interesting topic, financial management for employees. And maybe if you can talk about how employees can cope with the pressure of competition regarding money and lifestyle. This is something which has been happening for quite a while now. Starting with you, Mr. Kabanda.
Yeah, so the whole issue around the lifestyle and even these businesses we are talking about, sometimes employees are forced to start some businesses on the side because they need to sponsor some lifestyle. It's just important, first of all, to be true to yourself. Work around what it is that you are able to do, what is it you are able to spend on, where do you want to live, without having to create unnecessary impressions, because you cannot live your life to try and impress others. If you're going to start businesses, let it be with a genuine intention that you want to grow yourself and you want to provide for your family or yourself and basically prepare for your future. And that is what is important. We normally see, if it is just to sponsor lifestyle, you will find someone become very hard at going to Nakonde or anywhere to buy this and that and supply. Once they buy that shoe, that business is dead. No, it shouldn't like that. We should be looking at long term. And
a minute.
For me, is stick to the goals that you set when you are starting the business, and ensure that you are within. Every time we are moving, we've made money, where do you want to invest? What were your original goals?
Amazing.
So what did you want to do? Stick to that.
Sure, just like that. There you have it. Maybe you can also give us your last remarks as we wrap up this conversation.
Okay, from my end, is that side businesses are not a wrong thing to be done by employees, but must be done within the employment rules. Let's appreciate the employment rules and let's do it. Even for employers, let's not just restrict employees for the sake of restricting. Let's understand how such businesses are affecting us. It is a motivation when employees are able to make their own monies, they're trying out ideas. It also helps employers themselves, not just employees. So side businesses have got a benefit to the employers as well as to the employees. The same ideas they're using to run the businesses, they will run your institution.
Mr. Kabanda.
Yeah, for side businesses, definitely for employers, we just need to encourage them to also make sure that their policies are clear. Let's not use emotions, because sometimes it's the boss who just doesn't want business and they make it is a company policy. No. Understand company policy, your emotions should be separated, make things very clear, and encourage employees to be productive and bring ideas. Also, when employees have money, enough money, it also helps them not to be thinking a lot about other wrong things, including stealing and so on. So it's really encouraging them, but making sure that they are operating within the policies.
Amazing. Yeah. It's been an amazing conversation, I must say, and I believe that our viewers have really enjoyed and learned a lot from today's conversation. There you have it. This has been Labour Matters right here on KBN TV, 279 GSTV, 27 Go TV, 102 Topstar. Let's keep this conversation going by going on our Facebook page, which is KBN TV. If you have any questions, comments, or contributions, you can go right on our Facebook page, and next week we will read them right here on KBN TV. Today we're looking at an interesting topic, which is side businesses for employees. As I said earlier, let's keep the conversation going. My name is Patricia Chilambiko. Until next week, Sunday, same time, same channel. It's goodbye and God bless.